Whenever there's a problem, people that are doing less than a few million a year are generally asking, how do I fix the problem? People doing over 10 million a year or close to 100 mil or just 20 years of business experience say, who do I know or who can I find that can fix the problem?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Travis Makes Friends. Today, I am making friends with my boy, Rudy Mawer. Rudy, what's up, dude? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here, dude.
How you liking Vegas?
It's good. I mean, I come here a lot for events and stuff.
Of
so
course.
I like the ocean. You know, I live on the ocean. It gets dry here, but it's always being a tourist. You know, I'm like still from the UK, right? So for me, it's a really cool place to visit.
Yeah, you can't beat the ocean views, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm looking forward to having you on here. I would love to kind of build some context for those listening. Sure. So if you are in the online marketing space, you probably have seen Rudy's ads. You've probably seen a bunch of stuff from him online, all over social and things like that. But for those that are watching or listening that are not in the internet marketing space, let's like rewind the clock, go back in time and talk about how you kind of got to where you are. So let's say 8-year-old Rudy. Give us the breakdown, set the scene. What was life like?
Yeah, I mean, 8-year-old Rudy was still hustling. I was selling in schools at 8 years old, selling candy, selling like whatever the fad was for the year, you know, like bracelets and like little toys. I had somehow figured out, like I was always entrepreneurial. So I figured out what eBay was somehow at 8 or 9 years old, made my dad make me an account, and then was using my dad's money to buy all this stuff to then, which I would pay him back to then go and sell in school. So I was in the UK. My parents were not wealthy, but they were very successful in life. My mom was a gold medalist in triathlon, and my dad was the Great Britain team manager. So he ran the Olympic Games triathlon team for 2 or 3 Olympics. Okay. So I spent my life traveling to Olympic races, big races. My mom was competing. So that gave me the whole like, I assume it does at least. It gave me the whole, hey, you can achieve greatness. You can be the best in the world. You just got to train hard and train harder than everyone else and believe in yourself, because that's all it really is in sport, right? So I was doing that. I was, you know, a little unique in school, buying and selling, always being different. I always loved money. And I was a chess champion at like 10 years old in my school. So I was like really good at strategy, thinking ahead, planning ahead, making moves. And that's really what the game of business is. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So when you were coming up in high school and stuff, did you have any thoughts about college, or were you always just kind of like, I'm just going to go make money?
Well, so I actually have a master's degree in exercise science. So I have like a really strong degree in like a 4.0 GPA. And I don't know, I just like, I did that because I wanted to be really high up in the fitness industry, which was the first business I did $1 million in when I was 25. And that was more of just like a way to gain an expert status, right? Because I mean, I realized early on, if you can build authority and become an expert, you can make a lot of money.
So you went into exercise science with the intention of doing business in that world?
Yeah.
Okay. 100%. So it was never like, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a
so I had a personal training
or
business at 17.
Okay.
I had an online gaming community and business at 14. I did real estate. I bought my first house at 20, another one at 21, another one at 22 during grad school.
Okay.
During undergrad, actually, in England. And then, so I was always entrepreneurial. I had like my own business at 17 as a personal trainer. I had a website. I was ranked 1 on Google in my city. So I knew the online space, and the degree part was like once in a lifetime opportunity, a lot of fun. Like in the UK, you know, you have an amazing first year. It's just partying. So I was like, I thought I would always regret not going if I didn't go. So I'm like, I could still run my business alongside it, which I did. And I actually bought more houses because of it, because I ran it to students. So for me, it was like, I don't think college is necessarily the best thing to do, but like if you can do it while actually running a business and making money, then it's not as bad, right?
Were your parents always just supportive of whatever you wanted to do?
Yeah, they were like, people asked me this, they let me do whatever I wanted. I was never grounded once in my life.
No, really?
No, like they were the most chilled out, relaxed. But I wasn't like a naughty kid either. I don't think I needed to be grounded. You know, I was always mature, did my own thing. Like I was out the house, like, or I was online selling stuff and hustling. So I was like, kept myself to myself. And they were too busy with sport. You know, they were doing their own thing too. Yeah. I don't think they gave me a lot of freedom and creativity, which is obviously I'm thankful for, because I think it got me to where I am today.
Well, also I think that it's really underrated how much of an example they they set for you.
Yeah.
To your point, because I selfishly ask people about parenting stuff all the time, just because I had 2 kids, and my son's 3, my daughter's going to be 2 next week. And so I'm always thinking, like, what are the best ways that I can instill good beliefs and strong work ethic and all that kind of stuff. And at the bottom line at the end of the day is, like, your kids are probably going to be some sort of copy paste version of you, regardless of what you tell them to do, the rules that you give them, whatever. So it's interesting that you say, like, oh yeah, I had all the freedom in the world to do whatever I wanted, but, like, you never desired to do any of the other stuff because, like, you saw your parents working hard toward a goal every single day and how it positively affected their life.
Yeah, but I also saw that they didn't have much money. They weren't poor. They were like middle class, but like middle class, you don't have much money still, right? Because you have a decent house.
Such a weird place to be,
and it's like, but they weren't even like high up in middle class. They were just, because they were athletes, so they didn't earn much. They only did part-time work and stuff. And it's like, we had a nice house, don't get me wrong, like an okay house. It wasn't like a mansion or nice. It was okay, average. Yeah. But they still, there was always bills, right? And it's like, they were fine, but then when there was like a $5,000 vet bill, now it was a problem. Like now it's, hey, we got to be tight for a couple of months. So I think I saw that, and I saw that, like, money controls you, right? Whether you want to accept it or not. And people say money doesn't buy happiness. I'm like, well, try going bankrupt or not having money to pay your bills. I
always find it interesting that the people who say money doesn't buy happiness, as they've typically never
most
had
of them
any
don't
money.
have it, right? And it's like, most of them probably say it because it's like, when people say I don't need to work out and they're unhealthy, it's just more like it's a barrier or a shield they maybe put up to themselves to buy into their own belief system, right?
Totally.
So, like, I think money, and obviously the flip is true, money doesn't instantly buy happiness, right? Yeah. But it's like, if you're a good person, you're happy in general, you have positivity in life, you have a lot of good things going for you in life, money can amplify it, and I do believe that.
Totally, I think I always tell people, like, no, money's neutral, but if it's neutral, why not have a lot of it?
Yeah. Well, and it's just, it just gives you, it's like you said, it's a good point, it's neutral, right? So if you're really unhappy, it might make you even more unhappy because you might make stupid decisions with it, right? But if you're generally happy, a good person, positive, then it can amplify your life, amplify what you do, and most importantly, it buys freedom and time. Right. And it's hard to argue that freedom doesn't buy happiness, because go live in a jail cell for 10 years and then tell me it doesn't buy happiness, right?
It's a very good point, dude. Freedom, I think. It's funny because, like, the more entrepreneurs that I talk to, the more people that I talk to that just have a lot of money, that's always the driver. Yeah. It's never like, I just wanted more money. Like, for some people, they say that's what it is because that's kind of what their brand is, right? They're always like, oh, money, money, money. But if you really got down to the root of it and sat down with them, they'd be like, oh yeah, it's not about the money. It's about what money buys you. It's about the freedom to choose. It's about the options that you have that you normally wouldn't have.
Well, and that's why we become entrepreneurs, right? Most of us become entrepreneurs because we want freedom, we want control, and we want to create a different life for ourselves. And what drives all of that is people, right? It's people, it's connections, it's your brain, how smart you are. It's where you live, right? Which is partly influenced by money. If you have no money, you can't live in America, right? I had to have money to make the decision to leave England. I had to pay for attorneys to, and this was money I earned, not given by parents, by working 80-hour weeks. I had to pay money. I had to prove I had $20,000 to live for a year in America during grad school, because you weren't allowed to work while on a visa. So money bought that, right? Like, if I didn't have that proof of funds, I wouldn't have been able to move here. My parents didn't have that money saved, so I had to earn that money myself. Luckily, I had small businesses and houses, so I saved it up. And now my life is very different. I live in America than the UK. You could argue that would have never happened if I was like everyone else, because I would never have had that money.
What made you want to come to America?
Everything I do, right? Like business, money, the mindset, the right people, the environment, the weather in Florida, opportunity. Just a way better life, like for what I want to do.
So when you came over for grad school, your intention was to stay here.
It was just the gate. Okay, right, it was a gate in. Yeah, that's 100%. Like I knew I wanted to move to America when I was 13 years old. I don't know why. I came out here a few times. Came to California. My mom's cousin lived there and was from the UK and moved there and had an American family. It was just way better. It was like different world. It's just like everyone was friendly, the energy was good, everyone was bigger, big shopping malls, big basketball courts, big houses, big mountains, like everything was just more energy. It's like more colorful. I see England's like black and white movie, and then America's like a colorful movie. That's how I see life.
Is that the reason for the loud red everywhere?
I mean, that's part of the brand now, right? So there's a lot that goes into that story. Red was my favorite color. We wanted it. I already had a big agency that was blue, needed a new color. I said, let's go red. And the whole vision is, now we've rebranded and we kind of call a lot of my personal brand the Red Life. And the idea behind that is the red pill, right? Often play off the Matrix, right? Like, because that's really what I want to empower millions of people to understand is you can build the life of your dreams. You've just got to be willing to do it, make the decision, understand and believe you can do it, and then find the vehicle in what to do, right? And that's how I was, I guess, brought up and ingrained, but most people aren't fortunate enough to think that way. So I want to help empower them to do that.
Okay, so grad school, move over to America. What are the things that you're pursuing as soon as you're done with that and you're done with school?
So I actually made my professor $1 million business during grad school with my skills on Facebook and websites. And then I made $1 million.
Facebook. So you were already doing ads.
I ran ads like probably 11, 12 years ago now.
Wow.
For my own personal training business back in England. I always joke I got my first ad account banned 10 years ago. It was like one of the originals, running weight loss like 10 years ago. And I built my first website at 14 years old, so 17 years ago. So I was already, I wasn't an expert by any means, but I understood. It was like I understood what it was, and then I took courses and stuff to learn.
I was going to say, 12 years ago, I mean, nobody was really an expert in Facebook ads. They were
I would say I got really good at it about 7 years ago. So I would say like I've been spending tens of thousands, if not millions, in the last 7, especially the last 5-6 years. But that was because I did it for him, and then I graduated, and within about 12 to 16 months, I did $1 million for my own business. And then
for personal training,
fitness. I turned to fitness plans. And we sold, I think, close to 100,000 fitness plans. I had events around the world.
Was this all low ticket?
And they sold out. Like I sold out events in Australia in 48 hours, Melbourne and Sydney.
Wow.
So I traveled the world, did did some events, and sold all these. I had 100,000 members. I still have a Facebook group that's active with 60,000 members in it in the fitness group. And that was like my journey, and then I started doing it for big bodybuilders and fitness professionals and fitness influencers with like 5 million followers on RevShare.
Real quick, so when you say you started doing it for them, basically you got plugged into people who had products but did not know how to market or sell them?
Or not even that, like just big fitness influencers. Like,
but they didn't even have a product.
They might be sponsored by a supplement company, but they wouldn't. I would help create the product. So I would say, hey, this is how I did this arm blaster, I did this bikini plan. I'm like, hey, we'll just do similar for you, rename it 21-day arm challenge or whatever. And then I would just help them film it, map it all out, run it on RevShare, and learn the hard way of legal contracts and handshake agreements. Lost a lot of money during that because not everyone,
probably a lot of time.
Well, what's interesting, everyone loves the idea of making $1 million. But with a lot of these guys, they hadn't made that much money before. So they would agree to all the terms and like, they'll give me 40%, which is like a lot, but at the time they didn't have anything.
Right. So when you're making like $1,200 a month,
they were making like 20 grand a month, right, from sponsorships.
Okay. So they were making decent money.
Because they were like 5 million followers. But then like when I made them $1 million, they're like, now they're trying to renegotiate the 40%. Of course. And I'm like, hey, this didn't exist without me. So I learned the hard way about legal contracts and all that sort of jazz and expectations and blah 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 blah. Went through some good and bad launches, but kind of got burnt out because I got screwed a couple of times. So then I'm like, I'm not going to do RevShare anymore. I'm just going to charge 10 to 20 grand a month. They can pay me, all these big people can pay me, and I'll do it for them. So that formed an agency. And we did well. We got up to about 40 employees, generating a bunch of money. But then it was like the opposite was true. You'd do like $1 million and someone paid you 4 months at 10 grand a month.
Sure.
I'm like, that's, so
unit economics don't make as much sense.
So then I was like, I don't see, and obviously every time it didn't work, which is a lot in online marketing, right? Like you're the enemy now because you failed to make their business millions of dollars, and sadly that's not how business works, So I ended up partnering with Ty Lopez because he was doing an agency. And I was like, well, this is better because he's very well known. We can be more selective with clients.
Sure.
All of that jazz. And then just shortly after that, he ended up obviously starting to buy these big brands. So I kind of just floated with him there and did that for 2 or 3 years. And here I am today, you know.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you guys were basically running an agency together. What was it, purely like media buying agency or full stack marketing?
No, always full stack. Okay. Yeah, I only did the media buying only for about a year.
Okay.
But then I realized no one had a good funnel and landing page and offer, and that's what I was really good at as well. That's why all my stuff worked.
Yeah.
And then I was running ads for other people, and like the ads weren't working like my ads worked. And I'm like, look, I'm literally like spending 20 grand a day on my account. I'm screen sharing. Same thing I'm doing here. And you realize it's the offer and the position of the brand and the hook and the copy. So in the end, I changed the agency where it's like 10, 20 grand a month. And we still have it where we just do everything for them, right? So we do the ads, the funnel, the landing pages, the copy, the emails, the videos, the images, and it's the full service, right? And it's good because, I mean, a lot of people need that because if you go and hire a team for that, you're talking 20 to 40 grand a month in payroll.
It's not cheap.
And you've got to manage them, and you've got to be the one that can come up with a hook and offer still. Because
I was going to say, assuming that you know what you're doing in terms of hiring and managing those people.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been good for us. Me and Ty partnered and kind of did the same for a year. But then, you know, his next venture, which he's obviously still doing, which is super cool, was just like the next thing. And it was an awesome journey and experience for me. And
so what did you do in that portfolio of companies then? We're talking about like Radio Shack,
Pier 1 and all those. Yeah, so I mean, I started as like running a couple of the brands. Well, I started by taking over TyLopez.com so he could go and do that.
Gotcha.
And then I started running a couple of brands. Then I took over all the marketing for all the brands and media buying because that was obviously my background. And then I ended up just going to the holding company level and becoming the co-CEO with Ty, running everything. So
Gotcha.
300 staff. I was a little more operational. He was obviously a little more visionary and finding the brands and the investors. So it was a great synergy. And then Alex, the main partner, Ty's main partner on it all, was a bit of both. Like Alex was super smart marketer, just like Ty, very data driven like me, media buyer. You know, had a crazy experience in that. Super strategic, scientist like me because I had a sports science background, so we got on very well there. So yeah, we had they're still running it. I stepped out at Christmas just to do my own stuff again full time. Yeah. But yeah, that obviously helped give me a lot of what I've got today and a lot of lessons.
So what's your own stuff? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so we have a lot. More Capital is the holding company. So More Capital is like, I always explain, like if you see in the movies or in Star Wars, like the big ship and then you got little ships around it. That's kind of how I see my business now. So More Capital is the holding company. We have close to 100 employees and they float around all the ships, right? Okay. So we have a celebrity division where we work with big celebrities. We help launch all of their products and services. So like Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, people like that. We're partners, just like back in the early days with fitness. Yeah. Just we have better We have better contracts and expectations with them nowadays,
and probably better celebrities.
They're more business savvy, I guess you could say. So I have that, and yes, way better celebrities. And then I take equity in companies. So like the next evolution of my agency was, hey, let me become a partner with you. I'll own 30, 40, 50% of the company with you, but I'll help you take it from a couple of million to 10 or 20 million. And then we can sell it together because I know how to build to sell. I know how to grow fast. I have a massive team. So we've done a few of those partnerships in the last year, and they've worked really well. We've 4, 5x several companies. And I always say, look, if you 5x a company, then even if you only own 50% of it, you have 250% more than you did have as basic math, right? Sure. And there's a lot of ego over owning 100%. And I had that 7-8 years ago, right? And I think everyone that has their own first business does. And then you realize...
It's kind of like your baby. It's like cutting your baby in half.
And then you realize, actually, I can make way more money with a lot of babies that I co-own versus just one baby, right? So that's how that formed. That's going well. And then we have a big education coaching company, so a mastermind, 250 members, where we basically train the in-house companies and the CEOs or the entrepreneurs on Facebook ads, funnels, marketing, how to build, to sell, how to build their offers and that sort of thing.
So this show exists because we want to help people with the activity of leveling up their circle of people so that they can level up in life. So
yeah, great.
Who are some people in your life
Yep.
that have forced you to level up?
Yeah, well, before I even go into that, let me say one thing. I always say, so this is great to support that point. I want to be a billionaire, right? It's a goal. And I say there's 3 things that will help me get to billionaire status. It's my network, my team, and my creativity. 3 things, right? And that's one of them, right? The network.
Yeah.
So I pay about 10 to 20 grand a month right now, just not in masterminds, just in consulting, like literally thousands of dollars for an hour of someone's time or an intro. Because I'm a massive believer on your circle and your network's everything, right?
Yeah.
And 90% of where I am today is because I met a person that connected me to a person that I did a project with that then connected me to a different person that got me here, right? It's like crazy. And I actually think about it every week. Like last night, I think I thought about it. It's like this like maze. It's like I draw a maze in my head of like who I met here, that went here, that sent me here, that connected me here. Right. So if you want to be successful, it's everything, right? Yeah. It's everything. And I mean, the question of how do you do it? Well, it's about putting yourself in the right place. I moved from England. I left a girlfriend that I was with a long time. I left houses. I left my family. I left my personal training business. I literally got 2 suitcases and I got on a plane and I left everything. And if I'm willing to do that to be with the right people, and most people won't get on an internal flight for an hour to go to a mastermind and then complain, I'm like, come on.
Most people won't hop on Zoom, bro.
Yeah, I know. So.
Who are some people in your life that you got around? You said like 90% of your success has been from people. Yeah, I mean,
well, obviously Ty and Alex, right? Great mentors, people that have built crazy big things. Grant Cardone, I try and spend a lot of time with. He's in Miami. I get to go down there some of the time. Even these celebrities like Mike Tyson, right? Like some of the stuff he teaches on like mindset is insane. And people don't maybe see that, but I mean, athletes achieve such a different level of greatness, right? That they have some of the best knowledge. So celebrities like that, and then just a lot of people in our space that like I teach my team this a lot. Whenever there's a problem, people that are doing less than a few million a year or 10 million are generally asking, how do I fix the problem? That's logical, right? Problem? Well, what do you do as a CEO? You say, how do we fix it? How do I fix it? I Google it. How do I fix it? I go on YouTube. People doing over 10 million a year or close to 100 mil or just 20 years of business experience say, who do I know or who can I find that can fix the problem? Yeah,
the who, not how.
Yeah, and that's a massive mindset shift for me in the last few years. So I encourage my team all the time. Any new initiative, I'm like, don't you dare try and ask me how we do it. Don't you dare go and try and figure it out. Go find the who, pay them for 30 minutes, and type up everything they tell me, and then let's figure out a plan from there. Right? And that's like a game changer for a lot of people.
So you mentioned kind of how you look at certain, things that came about in your life and you can go, well, that person, that person, that person, that person, that person. I find as adults, the older that we get, I think it's more difficult to make friendships, like real friendships with people. Just by nature, especially now a lot of people work virtually. Sure. We're taking steps toward more virtual world. And I think a lot of people are, even though we're ironically the most connected that we've ever been, I think we're also the most disconnected we've ever been because we're not able to go deep with like real friends. Yeah. So I'm curious if there's like a friend that you have in your life, like a legitimate friend, not just like, oh, we met a few times or like they're an acquaintance or we've hung out at conferences together, but a legitimate friend that you've met in the last 3 to 5 years and how that friendship came about.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously made some great friends in grad school, which was 5-6 years ago, and most of those have worked for me at some point, full-time or part-time. Yeah, some of my best friends. So a lot of them came from grad school, and then a lot came from business. Because you got to remember, the weird thing for me, like when I talk a lot about your circle of influence and who you're with in your environment and energy. I'm almost very fortunate because I started a new life at 25. Like I knew no one. No one. I didn't move to Tampa because I had a friend there or a cousin. Right. I moved to Tampa because of the grad program and the professor, and that I wanted Florida or California, and I knew no one. So I started this new life, but the nice thing is the only people in my new life were either people in grad school, but they were very driven because I worked in the lab, which was like the top guys that were studying all the time and like really into it. So they were passionate. but really that was only for a year. So really my entire life and network now are entrepreneurs. So there are a lot of friends, right? Like, I guess you would call them watered down friends, like you said, where they're friendly at events and stuff, but we're not, we're not ringing each other every week. But there have been, many of my best friends have come from events, right? But because it's like the whole thing, there's maybe 100 people I've met and made connections with over a year, but out of those 100 there's 5 of us that hit it off, and it's like you feel like you've known them for 5 years, but you've only known them for 5 weeks, right? And you just connect on a different level and become great friends, and you might do business together and that sort of thing. I mean, one example is like a couple of people that I own equity in their companies. One of the guys lived the other side of America, and he moved his 2 teenage children and his wife to Tampa to just come and be in my office and create the business with me. And he didn't know anyone, he just knew me. We became business partners. He joined my mastermind, paid 20 grand, right? Joined the mastermind, and 6 months later he relocated his whole life to Tampa, just and knew no one. So, but like, that's a great example, right? It's someone that took risks, someone that I've become close with because it's through business, but we share similar values. We play basketball together now. We play golf together now. We have laughs together, like we're good friends now.
Yeah, to me, it's the meme test. It's like when you find a funny something that makes you laugh, it's like, who are you sending it to? Okay, so we talked about a lot of stuff here, dude. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got some other things to do while you're in Vegas. I appreciate you stopping by. This last segment's called Unpopular Opinions. Okay, so I'm going to share an unpopular opinion, and then you have to tell me on a scale of 0 to 5 how strongly you agree with it. So if you completely disagree, it's a 0. If you agree completely, it's a 5. And then tell me a little bit of an explanation of why. Okay, but before we do that, before we move into this final segment here, what are you working on right now that you want people to go check out? I know you have a new show coming out. You're working on a couple big projects. Where's the place?
Podcast. Like, the whole brand theme for me in the next 5 years is the red life, right? And about, it's more than Facebook ads. Like, for me, Facebook ads was just a skill set.
It's the vehicle.
For me, it's about changing lives. It's about creating your dream life, creating your dream business, learning online sales and marketing and online businesses. So that's a lot of what, we have the website, The Red Life. We have a book coming out in the next couple of months called, Living the Red Life, which is about taking the red pill and creating a life of your dreams.
Great.
So they're the things that I would love to help people with. They're not going to make me any money. It's not about that for me at this point. My businesses make me a lot of money. For me, it's about impacting the world and helping people realize their potential, realizing how to grow an online business and grow a business successfully.
And is that the name of the podcast as well? The Red Life?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you're listening to this right now, pull up whatever app you're listening to and head over to The Red Life, subscribe to Rudy's new show, show him some love over there. All right, here we go. Unpopular opinions. You ready?
Yep.
All right, number 1. Who you know is more important than what you know, 0 to 5.
Who you know is more important than what you know. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would say like a 3.5. Because I do agree, but there's it's like anything. It's hard with yes or no's because there's got to be a degree of knowledge too, right? If you're a total idiot, then you're not going to know anyone important because they're not going to give you any time, right? So it's like definitely more important, but you need a baseline of knowledge, right?
Sure. Got to have
you got to
base competency.
Yeah, because people only want to spend time with other great people. So if you're stupid, you ain't gonna have any friends that are worth knowing.
It's like, even if you
no.
Even if you get in the door, it's like you're not gonna stay in the room that long.
Well, you see the people. There's always one person at like an event or in a room, and they're asking a question, and you're like, what is this? What are you thinking? Right?
Yep. Okay, number 2. Your physical health is an indicator of your personal discipline.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 4.5. I came from fitness, right? So 100%. But there's also I think the reason it's not a 5 is I do think there's times in your life where you go through phases, right? Like, I've been super fit and I've been crazy obsessed with it. And I'm probably the least fit I've ever been in my life right now. But I'm more crazy obsessed with my business than ever, right? And my discipline with my business and life is unmatched, but my fitness is that. So it's like, it's yes or no, right? But in general, yes, 100% 4.
All right, number 3, news and politics affect your everyday life.
Interesting. I'm actually going to go the other end. I disagree. So I'd probably say a 0.5. because I don't know the news. Like, I don't know the senators, the president. I mean, I obviously know who the president is, but I have zero clue about any of that. I stay out of it. I don't watch any of it because I only want to watch stuff or be part of stuff or spend time and energy on stuff on what I can influence. So if I want to become the president one day and I'm running for election, I'm going to watch all that stuff. But until I am, it doesn't make a difference to me. So does it affect you from like a tax perspective? Sure, right? But you can leave the country if you want to leave the country, and don't play that, if you hate it that much. So yeah, I mean it only controls you if you let it.
Yeah, perfectly said. Number 4, taking radical responsibility for your life is necessary if you want to be successful.
Oh yeah, that's a 5.
Yeah,
like one of our core values in the company is extreme ownership, right? It's like, so yeah, you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for your actions. You're responsible for where you are in your life, and if you don't accept that, like, every high achiever understands that.
Time is a more important asset than money.
Yeah, 100%. That's a 5. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's no argument there, because the one thing you'll look back on when you're dying and 80, 90, 100 years old, however long you live to, is the time part, right? So I'm always doing what I can to collapse time, because I want to impact the world, but I want to do it as young as possible because I want to see my impact live, right? There's no good, like, to me, the saddest part probably of life would be to create something great and then pass away a week later because you don't get to see your own thing come to life.
You never know what horrible fate your bad luck has saved you from.
That's a good one. Never know how much. Yeah, I mean, for sure. And this is like perspective, right? So I would say the grading there is, I definitely agree. Probably a 4, 3.5. I definitely agree. I don't think about it much because I'm very like on to the next thing. So it's like, bad luck sucks. What did I learn from it? Okay, I've like brushed it off and moved on, right? And that's
it happened. Now what?
Yeah. Because you can't change until there's a time machine. There's no point dwelling on it. If there's a time machine gets invented, then dwell on it and decide if you want to go back and fix it, right?
Right.
But again, it's a control thing. I'm a control freak, so if I can't control it, which I can't at this point because it's done, right? How do I resolve it, learn from it, and then go forward?
You can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah, well, my famous saying is everything's possible when you open your mind, and that's like what I learned from, I think, being around pro athletes my whole life, and so it's a 5.
All MLMs are pyramid schemes.
It's hard for me to, I'm going to go neutral there because I say a 3. Because I don't know enough about all of them to make a comment, and I don't like to make uneducated blanket statements. But there's obviously, like anything in life, I'm a believer of good and bad. I'm sure there's some good, sure there's some bad. Yeah.
All right, lastly, here we go. Aliens exist.
I don't know if I could grade that on a number. I probably don't. I'm a scientist, so I'm probably going to go lower on the spectrum of 1. Or 2, but I do believe I like to believe there's something out there that we've not discovered yet. Yeah.
Well, cool, dude. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show. If you are listening, if you're watching right now, be sure to head over to the Red Life podcast. Subscribe. Head over to some of Rudy's stuff over on social media and tell him what's up. Tell him you heard about him here on the show. Rudy, thanks for coming on, dude. This is a lot of fun.
Pleasure, dude. Thank you.